Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 10 of Iron Bay Research here with my wife Kara, where we talk everything money related, finances, and life. So, the last episode we finished talking about my dad's business, not general contracting, but contracting for the military. And we kind of we got sidetracked. I want to get back on track to the timelines. And so, we're going to kind of pick up as when you graduated from college. What was that like? And then, what happened then? You leave college, you're back into the real world. What happens?
Yeah. So, I think it's important to note, what phase we were at in our life, right? At that time, right before I graduated college. So, I think, just to throw out there, psychologically, it was a different time because, when you play a college sport, it depends on whether your season's in the fall or the spring. And soccer was a fall sport. So in the spring, my last semester of college, I wasn't playing soccer anymore. You have an option, to kind of bop around with the team and just come and go as you please, but you're not really on the team.
Almost like
so,
training.
Yeah, so I did do that just to stay fit, and it was fun. I still loved playing. So I would go to the practices that I knew there wasn't going to be fitness at. Just so I could kick around and have fun.
Bag.
But as soon as, it was kind of awesome, because as soon as you're like, oh yeah, there's fitness today, you're like, I'm not coming. Because at that point, you're a senior.
Which is a huge relief.
Yeah, it is. There's no pressure to impress anyone or do anything. So, anyways,
and don't be shy. D1, you were a captain.
Sure, we talked about this.
Yeah, don't be shy.
No, anyways.
She got a ring.
2.
2. Oh.
But anyways, you caught me off track. So, all that to say, I had a lot of time in my hands spring semester that I wasn't used to. But that was nice because I could use that for applying for jobs and really figuring out what I wanted to do. Okay. So, during that time, I do remember specifically because we knew Bryce had 2 more years in the military.
This was 2000.
This was 2014 is when I graduated. Spring of 2014.
Okay.
So we knew Bryce had 2 more years left on his contract for the military. And so we had decided that it didn't make sense for me to live with him because we knew we wanted to get out of the military. At that point, we were kind of we knew it wasn't going to be a long-term thing.
Yeah, and I was never really home a lot either.
Yeah, and we knew he was going to get deployed often, so we were like, it makes sense for me to start my career in life up in the D.C. area where we knew we wanted to settle after military, because that's what we were familiar with.
Yeah.
So that's what we were planning on. I was going to go live back with my parents, get a job, save up all that money that I was working.
Yeah.
I remember we paid my parents, I think it was $250 a month, which was nice.
They had
obviously
a room in the basement. That was
nice. That was a favor from my parents.
Oh yeah.
But we wanted to make sure we were at least contributing something to electricity and
it wasn't
water.
Market rent.
Yeah. But we paid them $250 to not be a nuisance.
Yeah.
But I think we enjoyed it, and I think they enjoyed having us around. It wasn't that big of a deal. But anyways, so that's what we planned on doing. So spring semester of college, I applied for jobs. I remember I would drive from Radford 4 hours to DC for interviews, at least twice a month.
Wow, I forgot about
Remember
that.
I did that? Yeah. I would
shit.
always try to ask them. I said Tuesdays are the best day because I only had classes my senior semester Mondays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
So Tuesdays were a good day where I could drive up Monday night, interview Tuesday, chill out, drive back Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I did. Yeah. And actually, it was really hard going back to the college debate of whether or not
this was before Zoom was really a thing.
They didn't. I remember I had one Zoom interview and it was really new. I was really nervous about it. They were like, if it doesn't work, we'll just switch to the phone. It wasn't a sure,
wasn't ingrained
worked out thing yet. Yeah. So I drove for in-person interviews back and forth.
That's crazy.
But it was worth it because I was desperate for a job. I was like, this has to work out. I need to get a job, right?
We had a fire under your ass.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where now is the time. It's everyone tells you a degree is Oh, fuck, the thing moved. Sorry, everyone. We put it on...
No, it must have just slipped.
Oh, that's weird.
It's just drawn to you.
Anyways, so I don't know why I caught that out of the corner of my eye that it was moved.
You look more often.
Yeah, I know. So
we're trying to get better at not looking at the screen, but then looking here.
Yeah, I'll probably cut this. If I don't, here's a blooper. A free blooper in the middle of the video. Yeah. Anyways, so you're at that crossroads where you're like, okay, here's the time. Everyone said a degree gets you a job.
Yeah.
And I was like,
raining jobs.
Yeah, I'm like, let me not prove them wrong. Yeah. I was like, I want to prove this theory right. So I was applying to like 30 jobs a week, man. I was just like,
I remember it was insane.
Yeah, my email was just retarded. But
I think just like you set a standard in my head and people are like, oh, I apply like once a week. I'm just like,
you can't. Yeah, every time I've ever applied for a job, you just gotta get your freaking resume out there. It's wild. But anyways, so I had a couple interviews. Nothing serious though. Nothing was sticking, and I was starting to get really stressed. Yeah. And one, I did have an interview for a job. I had like 2 phone interviews, and finally they were like, "Why don't you come up and do an in-person interview?" And this was for a Actually, I had 2 that were kind of like, it's yours if you want it.
Okay.
And they were both like salesy positions, so which makes sense because
they kind of just grab whoever.
Yeah, they kind of just grab whoever. Especially
if you're in sales, you know it's true.
Yeah, especially college kids.
You know it's true.
So there was one that was recruiting for it was tech systems actually. Which was actually, now come to find out, back then I didn't know a lot about them, but a girlfriend of mine had already bagged a job with them, so she kind of referred me to her hiring manager who interviewed me, and they were like, we really like your roommate, we'd be happy to talk to you as well, la la la. So that one was also like, we have positions available if you want it, it's yours. Yeah. But we hadn't gotten to the negotiating salary part yet. Cause I don't know why, I just wasn't sold on that one. It was weird. I didn't mind, the person that I spoke with was very nice. Yeah. I loved that my friend was committed to that. That's kind of cool. A really close friend too. Yeah. We would have been like working together, which would have been awesome. But I don't know. I think I just got the vibe. I didn't know that it was me. It just didn't feel right. And that sounds silly because at that point I was in desperation mode to get a job. But
I mean, you're desperate, but you're not.
Yeah, there was an energy. I hate to say that because I'm not big on energy or anything. But there was just a vibe where I was like, this just feels like not a right fit. So I kind of just let that one fizzle away. Yeah. And then the other one that I went up to interview in person with was a college that I don't remember the acronym, but that technical institute that was right. They do a lot of nursing.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They do. John Morin got his degree from there. Remember? Anyways.
Yeah,
it was off 234. Yeah. So we know exactly where the campus is. But
yeah.
It was a technical institute that was for like focused in nurses and stuff, but what come to find out later is what they really do is they kind of what's the term, vultures, they kind of like pick on or feed off of immigrants who don't have a lot of money because it's easy for them to take a loan out.
Yeah.
And they know that
it's predatory lending.
Predatory, thank you. Yeah. And I would have been a salesperson for that predatory lending for the school.
That might have mentally fucked you up.
Yeah.
I think if you look back and all that.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I remember when I was in the room with this guy, he was a very, honestly, gave me predatory vibes, if I can say that. Very nice guy. But he looked me in the eye and he was like, it's your job if you want it, but I don't think it's a right fit for you. Yeah. He told me that. Yeah. He was like, we would love to have you. I think he was like, you're the kind of person that people would be trusting, which is perfect for that. But he's like, I don't think it's for you. Yeah. And it was very interesting. That was like, wow. I was kind of feeling bummed again, even more so because I'm like, here's someone saying that the job's mine if they want it, but they don't think I'm a good fit. So I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I was like really confused at that time.
Yeah.
So that was really it. I graduated. I didn't get a job yet.
Can we pause? Take a step back.
Sure.
When you were looking for jobs, like what did you on the computer? You're sitting. What did you type? Like sales jobs in Virginia. Like we didn't.
So I think I went off location.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually type in what type of job.
Yeah.
I set my search engine filters to the location.
Okay.
And beginner.
Oh, okay. So it's like very broad.
Very broad.
Just nothing. Like you didn't have
anything came up.
There was like nothing in your mind. Like I want to do X, Y, and Z and work here.
No. So I was just like requires a bachelor's to weed out other people. 0 to 1 year's experience, so nothing.
Yeah.
And location. That was it.
Okay.
And so I ended up still not having a job and moving back to Virginia with my parents, like we said we would do. And you were still supporting me at this time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, while still applying for like corporate positions, I guess, I started coaching soccer. So I was making $500 a month coaching soccer, enough for food and stuff.
Side cash,
and my parents weren't charging me rent, so that was enough for me to bop around town, gas and food and stuff, while I was still like frantically applying.
Yeah.
I did that for 2 months. No, a month. I finally got a job in June, a month after I graduated.
Yeah.
And my first job I got had nothing to do with applying. It had everything to do with a friend that got me the job.
This was
Nicole, the mortgage company. Yeah. Literally, I was complaining to a friend about, man, I just cannot find a job organically, like really frustrated. And she was like, I think you'd be great for yada yada position at our company. Let me talk to my floor manager. Yeah. And that was it. She was like, yeah, she's really interested. They have a spot. Send your resume. Come in for an interview. I did. And she hired me on the spot that day, the interview. They were like, yeah, we love your friend, so we trust that you're cool too, which is great. Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about this in a previous episode about referrals, referring people. Yeah. And that was kind of my first taste of, wow, the company and relationships you create matter. Here was a prime example of like a friend who happened to be a childhood friend.
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Got me this job.
I think anyone on the service would be like, oh, well, that's just luck of the draw. That's bullshit. Because it's like, I think you as a person, and anyone as a person, when you build up a sense of like, oh, you're hardworking, you're reliable. Because you had worked with this person previously at Bob Evans.
I did, yes.
And
she got me the job at Bob Evans too.
Yeah,
How funny
and
is
it's like,
that?
oh yeah, like last time she put her neck on the line for you. You didn't let her down. Very reliable. And it's like that builds. Whereas if you had gone to Bob Evans and just had, a chip on your shoulder from a shitty worker,
she would not have referred me for this.
Yeah.
That's such a good point.
It definitely compounds.
I did not remember that. Yeah, so the same friend who got me by...
Which is funny because you did the same thing to someone else too.
Yeah, to my girlfriend Stephanie. So yeah, the same friend that got me my high school job, 6 years later got me my first corporate job. Because she had transitioned. She only had her associates. I think Nicole got her associates.
Yeah.
Not only, but she just did 2 years and then started working. And she did really well. And so that was cool. You're right. Full circle. But yeah, here's a relationship I kept up and it worked out in my favor. So it is important to keep your relationships because you never know how it's going to pay it forward, So I remember sitting in there, which this is usually doesn't work out that way. You negotiate and you go back and forth maybe with HR. And she told me right then and there, she was like, this is what I would like to hire you. This was my interview. And after 20 minutes of talking, she's like, okay, we'd like you to come on. Can you start next Monday? Yeah. Like a week from then. I was like, yeah. And she said, this is what we offer starting out. And I wasn't in a position to go negotiate,
Just taking it.
Yeah, I just took it. She was like, we can offer you, what was it at the time? I think it was 33, which was like $16 an hour.
Yeah. I think I want to take a pause here and talk about that.
Okay.
Because I think... And situational, I get that. But I think a lot of people, they spend too much time. Like, was that the perfect fit? No. But was that a good fit? Was it good enough? Yes.
I just needed to get my foot in
Yeah,
the
and
door.
I think
that's all I was looking for.
yeah, I think too many people wait for this perfect opportunity. Well,
a unicorn.
My degree's in this, and I want to make this and that, and they just end up playing this. They let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yeah.
And they just because I mean, if you're looking at money, you can make money doing any job if you play it correctly.
Yeah,
like if you
sure.
like, I mean, you can make money as a janitor if you figure out how to become
which we'll get into.
a manager
I did do
own a
that,
company.
so,
But
yeah.
so you find a placeholder in the meantime, and then you just kind of chug along because you never know. Maybe you don't want to do that job you're hired for, but you see the inner workings of a company. Every company has accounting, marketing, management.
Yes.
Every company has these internal workings. He's like, I don't like this part, but maybe I can switch over to another department.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just get your foot in the door and just do it.
Yeah.
And then kind of plan the next more perfect move. Once you have some money coming in, you just gotta get some firepower, some oxygen in the room. So
no, absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, and I think you're right, and we'll get to more examples of that later in my working career.
Yeah.
Where I have some prime examples of that, and
very strategic hop. That like a bunch of good stuff here.
Yeah, but that was my first job, and I was so thankful to Nicole for that. And when I started, I was obviously very nervous because when you start your first adult job, you have all these insecurities of how am I going to be? Am I going to be a good worker? I've done stupid shit before. That is mindless, so it's easy to be successful at that, but it's like, am I going to grasp these concepts that, like, I don't know anything about mortgages at that time. I was 21, I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff.
So what was the job? Is that what
was
it?
So the job was in post-closing, so it was for a mortgage originator. So mortgage originators don't hold the loan for the life of the loan like banks do. They originate the loan and then they sell the loan off to a big bank like U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo.
This is for mortgages, like
this
houses.
This is for houses.
So you buy a house, you get a loan application.
Yeah, exactly. So I was on the very back end. So after you buy a home, you close, everyone signs all the papers. I got the big packet of papers. What I would do is make sure everything was there, everything was signed, and then after closing, and I would package it in a specific order and submit it to the big banks for them to accept, and then they would pay us a wire for that loan.
Got it. Okay.
So I was on the very back end, so it was very just admin work.
Okay.
Paper pushing, admin, way to get my foot in the door, but also I learned so much because I had no idea about the mortgage process. We had never even bought a house at that time.
No.
So it was kind of cool to kind of see the process of that.
Yeah.
And also learn some lessons. I have a story about a lesson I learned, a hard lesson I learned, where I cost the company money, which was very scary because here... Here, I'm making $15, $16 an hour. I think I'm insignificant to the company, right? Which, to an extent, I was, but...
Which is crazy thinking about that price now, like, minimum wage is like 15, 20. I don't know.
Yeah, now that job probably makes something like $50K. But this is 10 years ago. I was at this job 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, so I was at this job.
I think minimum wage then was like
So,
$6.
we haven't said that before on the pod. We're 31. Bryce will be 32 in December. I'll be 32 next year. So, we're 31. So, this was 10 years ago, right when I got out of college working this job. But there was a weekend. Submitting these post-closing documents to the big banks and selling them off had very strict timelines. Yeah. Or else your loan expires and you'd be caught holding the bag, the George Mason Mortgage Company.
Okay, yeah.
Or charged a significant thousands of dollars fee, a percentage of the loan for them to accept it late.
Okay, makes sense, yeah.
So it was a holiday weekend coming up, and everyone closes early on Fridays. I think it was Easter weekend or something. And sometimes you can't submit loans for various missing documents or reasons or things like that. And I had gotten all my loans out, but I had one loan still sitting that I was waiting for documentation on. And I communicated, I made it known. But my boss at the time, she was very adamant about, if you don't have a loan that can go out, make sure you tell us, and this is why, blah, blah, blah. And I had sent it in an email, because I think I was nervous about like just going into her office face to face and saying, hey, I can't get this out and this is why. I don't know why. I was just being a 21-year-old, just nervous. But I was like, oh yeah, I am telling her via email, which obviously everyone knows now who's worked a corporate job. Sometimes things in email aren't received urgently, quickly. When something is urgent, it may not
like
be
double tap it like text.
So that was it. I left the office for the weekend. I had a great weekend. Came back on Tuesday, and 3 of us got called into the office and had a big talking to about how we had loans that didn't get out, and we cost the company, like me specifically, my loan not getting out cost the company $10,000. Yeah. And it was very nice of my boss. She really liked me, so she sent the other 2. It was 2 boys out who were young like me. This was kind of a youngish job. Everyone that did this job was kind in their 20s, early 30s. And she's like, Kara, you can stay back. I want to chat. And I was like, oh, God. 'Cause she was I liked her a lot. Yeah. She's actually since passed away, which is very sad. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. But she was a really, really nice lady. Yeah. Super cool, but a hard ass. So she was intimidating. Yeah. And anyways, this is way down the rabbit hole. We'll get back to money in a second.
No, I'm curious. No, I think this is good stuff because it's like...
It's life.
Shit happens.
Yeah. So, and I guess there is a moral of the story. Anyways, she was like, hey, I want to let you know that I did get your email. She's like, the situation with those guys, they didn't communicate at all, and they left like 5 loans each sitting. She's like, I know that you left one, and you did make me aware in the way that you wanted to, which was email. She's like, I did get it, and she's like, she wanted to let me know that she wasn't really upset with me, and that even if I did tell her my loan was missing something, it couldn't gone out. So it was what it was, and it was a wash.
Pretty much say it wasn't your fault.
Yes, which was really nice of her, but I still felt responsible and upset with myself that I didn't just walk into her freaking office and tell her to her face that my loan wasn't going out. It's such an insignificant thing.
I think it's that you forget as like an adult now. It's like,
you can't like pull your big girl panties up.
They're people like, hey.
Yeah, I know. And I think at that time I still felt like a kid. Mm-hmm. I was only like 2 months into this job when that happened, and I still felt like a kid. I still felt like I didn't deserve to like be in her office and bug her with my minuscule things. And that's not true. And it's just like, 10 years later now, I'm so much better at talking to people in person about hard things. And I think that was a really big slap to the face. Like, oh, welcome to the real world, bitch. Like, this is where you need to have hard conversations. Yeah. And, or bad things can happen. They have repercussions. So
it's communication. I think that's
which
is fun.
I majored in communication.
That's your degree.
Yeah, I majored in communication, and I had a massive communication fail. That's and it's embarrassing, and it sucked. To be lumped in with a group of people that otherwise were, and these 2 guys that I got brought to the office with were kind of like, everyone knew that they would do something like that. So to have me in the office with them, everyone was whispering around the office like, oh my God, Kara, because it was a shock. I always did what I was supposed to do. I was a beast. Like, I would get my stuff out early and take on other people's work. Like, that's just how I started.
I wonder if like office politics, she had to lump you in through the
Yes, she did. Yeah. She had to. And that's why she kept me afterwards to go, it wasn't really you. I'm not upset. And which was sweet of her, but I still held myself accountable. Yeah. I was like, damn, man. It sucked.
Yeah. Like, you did do it right. Like, you did do the steps.
I did everything I could, but I could have done more.
Yeah.
That was the harsh reality of it.
I'm learning that with real estate. It's just like, because I like handling and having tough conversations over the phone. Sure. Because I think sometimes, like,
as you should,
your voice can carry an inflection a bit better.
Absolutely.
But then now I always follow up with like a text of some sort, just so that people can say like, no, I did tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is time
per our conversation.
Yeah, or it's like,
which
hey,
sounds fussy.
I sent you an email, but like I think in a lot of jobs you do need to record of when something was said, and that's just communication too. Like, no, we did talk about this. Yeah. Here's the text. What is it? Show me the receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show me the receipts.
It's called in the corporate world. It's called CYA, cover your ass.
Yeah, yeah.
You do need a little CYA.
Yeah.
You know,
So it was
that's
just
a
tough
different
because
thing.
I know a lot of. I'm not alone with like I do like having phone calls sometimes. But sometimes text is just.
Yeah.
And sometimes it seems insincere, and then when you're having tough combos, you do need to be your most sincere, or your most like acute of how the message is received.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know where I was going with that. I think I was just
yeah, but to bring it back, it's like I will tell you in a second when we talk more timeline. I only worked that job for 4 months because other life things happened, which we'll get to.
In Fairfax?
But yes, that was in Fairfax. Yeah. So that's something we can talk about. I commuted pretty far for that job. It was it was a 45-minute commute with traffic. So I worked 6 to 2 hours. So I would leave my house at 5:30 a.m. so I could miss the traffic, and it would only take me 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I liked doing, and then it was great because I had like 3 hours or so. I was still coaching at that time before soccer practice started. That was like my side hustle.
Yeah.
And it was really those in my inner circle know that I like to relax. So me working a full-time job.
Who doesn't? Yeah.
But I really like to relax. So me at that time working a full-time job and then doing soccer practice after and coaching. I really liked Netflix and chill. So
PG-13.
Yeah. So me doing a full-time job, then coaching and playing soccer just for fun was a lot on my plate. And I did that, I think, at that time, looking back, because I missed you. Bryce and I weren't living together. I think it was a nice distraction being really busy.
Yeah.
Because it was just made the time go by until I knew we were going to... Because at that time,
the weeks just fly by.
Oh, yeah. We thought we weren't going to be together for like another 2 years. Yeah. So I was like, ugh. Other than visiting, obviously.
Yeah. It wasn't like...
No, we wouldn't see each other at all. But living together was going to be a while. Yeah. So that's why I kind of just racked my plate up. But anyways, I was thankful for that job. Lots of lessons. I think I remember it more than other jobs because it was my first one. Yeah. You know, and there was a lot of anxieties that went with it that like really stick with me.
Yeah. What was your first feeling when that first like big check came in? Like,
oh yeah, big, but
the biggest
bigger. My biggest check I'd ever gotten was at Bob Evans for like $400 because I only worked the weekend. So my first check was $2,500, and I was like, what? Yeah. So, and it was, direct deposit, which that was a new thing to me. Yeah. I used Bob Evans, wasn't direct deposit. I would just get a little...
Give you a wad of cash.
No, I would just get a little actual paper check.
How about, I don't think we talked about, like, the benefits that came with the job. Like, retirement.
So... Another scenario, Bryce and I were married at this point. I didn't look into that. It didn't matter to me because
you get full benefits.
I didn't take on any of the benefits because I had TRICARE through Bryce. Yeah. And at that time, we weren't thinking retirement other than your little account we talked about in a previous episode. Through the military. So none of that stuff mattered to me. I wasn't weighing those options at that time as maybe other people would have. But I think... I don't know what the, because at that time, it was Obama, right? So there was that law where you could still be on your parents until you were 26 years old or something like that. Yeah. So I think, I would say a lot of people our age, 21 through 26, were still on their parents' health care because you were allowed to be. Yeah.
Well, you're also still, you're on mine too, so you had to...
But I was on yours, so I also wasn't thinking about that. Yeah. But I think, again, me being on yours, and that was a benefit of us being married as young as we were, that took a lot off my parents not having me on any of the plans. Yeah.
And I think a takeaway from that, I don't know if we brought this up, but it's like, in that exact situation, which I know isn't, there are a lot of people out there, where it's like if one job gives full benefits, regardless of what you do. We did talk about that a little bit. And this height says 2020, but it's like that could open you up to jobs. Because some jobs that have less benefits have higher pay but less benefits, so that could skew. Where hey, if you have full benefits of me, that could open the door for hey, we don't need the job that pays benefits. There are some jobs where it's they only go there for the benefits. I'm thinking of Starbucks or Lowe's. They have really good health care.
Right.
So in that situation, we could have leaned into something else. But obviously, that's back in the day.
Yeah. Well, and that's, for example, that's why I could do coaching as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because it didn't
It's just
matter.
cash.
You
like,
had
hey, here's
me.
some cash. Cool.
Yeah. So, I was fortunate in that I did
Yeah.
have you and my parents to lean on at that time. So it could allow me to find myself, find a job or wait until I got something. So I had a good support circle.
Yeah, no, it's and I think what you went through is, I mean, it's very common. Like, college, like, what do I do now? But I think the big takeaway is just like, if you're
oh no, we're good. That was that one.
If you're doing applications, just do more. Like until you have a job, your full-time job is applying.
And the thing I learned is too with applying for jobs is, some people will read a job and they're like, oh, I don't qualify for this, and they want to apply for it.
Just do it.
You still apply because you don't know the inner workings of that company. They might see your resume and go, actually, I think we'd be okay with altering this position to this person. There's so many inner workings, money-wise, company-wise, department-wise, that you have no idea by looking just at the face value of this job listing.
Yeah.
Just apply to it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've done, like, my entire applying
I think
career.
that's still because I think there was another time we could talk about again, but it's like, said, hey, you wouldn't be good for this job, but
we like you for
this one that you didn't see.
Exactly. That we haven't posted yet, that someone is leaving within the next month. We'd like you to do that. Yeah. So it's like, you never know.
Yeah, like, we're not being like tone deaf to it's hard to get a job. I get that.
It is, yeah.
But unfortunately, you still have to
do more.
Yeah, you have to just do more. Like, there's no answer to it. Well, it's tough. Like, I know it is. Yeah. That you just have to do more, because the problem is, it's just like, if you have 10 people and there's only 7 jobs, you have to work harder than about half of them. Yeah, for sure. And that's just where we are now. You got every year. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like every year, 500,000 people graduate with degrees. Like, it has to be a high number. It has to be a high number like that. I mean, I don't know. Like, you got 400 million people. You call them what? Probably 5 million are every year. Yeah. Like, so of 5 million people, it's fair to say 10% of them are graduating college. Like, that's your competition every year.
And like you said, with just getting your foot in the door, is we've also learned through working, which I'm sure other people have. This is for maybe people that have a different outlook or haven't been in the workplace super long, is that by getting your foot in the door and doing the crap job that no one wants to do, you prove yourself in a way, and they may want to elevate you to another position that they have rather than hiring out, and that's really important. So for me,
they don't know you.
Yeah, whenever I started positions that were just like positions that I knew no one else might have wanted to do them. For me, I knew it was temporary. Yeah. I never took a job and I was like, well, this is my life forever. No, I was like, okay, step 1. I do this. Step 1, get in. Get the company, show them I'm a badass. Yeah. And then opportunities will come. You know? Yeah. So it's just about getting in there. I never looked at, oh yeah, I'm gonna, when accepting a position, I wasn't ever like, I need to be making this much. Even now, like 3 years later or 5 years ago when we moved to Tampa, it wasn't necessarily, I need to be making this much. I need to be I was like, no, I just need them to see how I work.
And does this job have upward mobility?
Yeah, exactly. And I just knew in my bones, as soon as someone saw how I worked, the opportunities would be limitless.
And that's what they don't teach in college. And I think they're failing by not being like,
sure.
You're not having to learn it. It's just like, yeah, I get, like, they teach it like, oh, you're guaranteed a job. Like, no, they don't know you. Like, they're a company.
I wish they taught job psychology. Like, almost.
You're applying for a company that is trying to maximize revenue, minimize expense. Like, your alignment isn't aligned because you're trying to minimize your work effort and maximize your pay. And it's like those two are going the opposite direction.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
And it's.
That's funny. That's a really good way to put it.
I mean,
Can you repeat that slower?
A company is trying to maximize revenue and minimize expense, while you as an employee are trying to maximize your pay and minimize your work. It's like
that's so true.
Those are just perpendicular.
So why
things.
would they want to keep you on or hire you?
It's when you get there, you'd be like, look, I'm here to help your company. I'm here to make you money. I think if you go into every job there, like, I'm here to make the company money.
Yeah.
I think that will come back to you. And I think people might mishear that as like, oh, you're just a yes man.
No.
Well, no shit. If you're going to a job, you have to be some sort of a yes man. But you also have to, like, you can align it by, like, balance, I make you money, you pay me more, we all win.
And I think that's such a good point because I would say that a lot of people approach interviews in, I'm a sought after asset. You're not. They want me. And it's like, it's a balance. They do, which is why they posted the listing. Yeah. Absolutely. So you should go in there with knowing your worth, but a humbleness too at the same time. And it's a business transaction. Yeah. You know, let them know how you're going to help them. And that's how you should approach answering the questions that they ask you is, you know, look at, and this wasn't taught to me either. That's so interesting. You know, when it came to preparing for interview questions, we did that a little bit in college. You know, they were like, these are like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Blah, blah, blah. Not only answer that question with the facts of what your strengths and weaknesses are, but answer it, also ask yourself within that question, how is my answer going to be looked at as a benefit to the company? You know, how can my answer be monetized from a company's point of view? Like, why is that a good thing?
And it drives me nuts if people
rather than just saying, "Oh, my strengths are I type really fast and I do this," but why does that help? Why is that cost effective to the company? You know,
and people just get so caught up in like, don't looking at it for a profit.
Yeah,
no shit.
They are.
Like, even government works have budgets.
Yeah, for sure.
Like no shit. You are a commodity to them, and I think it's like the second you realize that. Is the second that you can present yourself as a positive outcome is the second you're getting hired.
Absolutely.
Like, there was
absolutely.
I don't know. I was thinking this quote.
It's an energy you give off, and people feel that.
Yeah, when you come up with this entitled, it's like it's not going to get anywhere. But I just graduated from RASP, like the Ranger Selection Program, and they said because we were like our group got really minimized, and they're like, hey, like, you know, divorce will fight, like.
Because a lot of people didn't make it through the training.
Yeah. They were like, we need you guys, but we don't need you. Like, we're not going to lower the standards. We're not going to give you what you want. We're low in manpower. We need you, but we're not like going to go out our way. Which I think relates to a lot of companies. Like, they need you. We need people, but we need the right person. And it's just like,
for sure,
you got to make yourself fit there. And if you can't, unfortunately, you get passed off. And that's just what it is. It's not like I wish it was different, whatever, but it's not. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of like, I'm really into like looking at like biographies of like CEOs and like really well paid employees, like upper management. You'd be surprised how much of them start entry level. Like, it's amazing. Sure. John D. Rockefeller, the richest person to ever live, he started as like a low level accountant at a trading house in Chicago, and he worked his way up. Yeah. But you start out, you just get your foot in the door, you learn the ropes. It's like you'd be nuts to think you're gonna start out as management because I have a degree. Who gives a shit? Yeah. How does that relate? It doesn't. It's zero relation. Yeah, absolutely. So I think put your foot in the door. Yeah. Just get it done.
I love that. Yeah, I know, and I think every job I've had in the past 10 years has just proven time and time again that that's true. Like, it's never been unproven. It's always like, just get your foot in the door and opportunities will come. And they always did.
Yeah. And if they don't,
always came.
Keep trying.
Yeah,
keep
exactly.
Keep trying.
Yeah, for sure. I think we can actually end the episode there because that was a good little rabbit hole. Yeah. We're at a time in our life now where Bryce and I are still living separately. I was working at my first job, and next episode we can get into
job hopping,
where we were next, and you know.
Because I think that's really good conversation of like, I have a job. How do I work the politics of finding another job? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, is this better than that benefit? Yeah. So, we can go ahead and Charles Burr. Yeah. We can go and end it here.
Okay. That was episode 10. Thank you guys for joining. Yeah. We hope you liked that conversation, although we went down a massive rabbit hole, but relevant nonetheless. I think the way it fits into money is the psychology of finding money, and jobs are that.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have money without doing a job.
Yeah. Let us know what your first job was like in the comments if you want, and we'll
Yeah.
leave a comment and see how it was. But
Yep.
yeah, thanks for watching. See
Bye.
you guys. Funny, a lot of these CEOs, they start at the bottom.
Yeah.
And they just like work themselves up.
Yeah.
And there's like, they just figured.
We should have brought that in with, and sometimes that's life. You gotta compound experiences and start at the bottom. You're not just gonna be there where you want to be.
Yeah, because like I get your motive.
Yeah.
You want to get trusted, but like let me ask you this. You know, damn it, that's a good phrase. Would you really trust a company that they would just pluck someone that has zero job experience and put them on like a high-paying job as a manager?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to work for a company like that.
Like,
yeah.
no.
You would, and if you were brought on, would you want to work under a manager that was hired just because they had a degree and no experience? No, you wouldn't. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this and want more, subscribe or comment below. We'll see you here next time on Iron Bay Research. Bryce and Kara signing out.